All right, guys. Hello, good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys. Welcome to HackEngAGE 20. I hope you all can hear me. Uh, so we still have people joining us, but we will stick to our time and we will continue with the webinar. So just a few, I would like to start off by firstly, wishing you all a happy new year. Uh, I'll try and take as less of your Saturday as possible, keep it short and concise, and try and, get you guys up and running and on the same page as us. So before I start, there are, a few points that I would like to, for you to keep in mind. Firstly, this webinar is to help you, get acquainted with what HackEngage is, why we have had the idea of, hosting a hackathon, and basically take you through some of the ideas and, give you some, uh, let me call it, some inspiration to, help you start off with your project. There will not be much of a technical background covered here. We'll save that for another day. Mixing the two of them might confuse you a lot, so I wouldn't like to do that. So another thing is we will keep all the questions. I see a couple of people asking questions. We'll have a specific Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. But let's start then. Okay, so what is HackEngage? Let's start with some stats. Okay, so you are one of 1,500 registrations so far. You are part of HackEngage, which has around 1,500 registrations, little more, but there are around 1,500 people who have signed up. You are a part of 70 teams. I hope you all know that you were to make teams of 4 or 3 or maybe even one, but you should be a part of some team by now. And you got quite the competition for the HackEngage. We have students from over 50 plus colleges, and that's a big deal. Uh, we've got students from all over India, so that's great. And I hope you guys, you can hear me. And uh, so we have also got a 150 plus Slack community. So those of you who haven't joined Slack, I suggest you guys start doing that. I think I may have missed to introduce myself. Uh, my name is Nikhil. Just so you know, you can chat with me on the Slack channel as well. So there are a few advantages of being on the Slack channel. I'll cover some of them now, and some of them towards the end of the webinar. So we release a lot of information, a lot of communication happens from us to the students on the Slack channel, and you might miss out on some real cool updates and some tips and pointers. So make sure you check your inboxes, maybe your spam folders, and join the Slack community. Okay, moving on. Why join the hackathon? I mean, why did you join the hackathon? There are some underlying benefits of you guys being here. I'm going to list them out one by one and take you through them. So the first one is obviously your degree. So this is an integral part of your career, and the direction you choose will influence your future in AI. So basically, there's a lot going around AI, and AI, like you've heard multiple times, people saying it's the future of things. The world is heading towards AI, and this is going to be a pedestal for you guys, to get hands-on experience into AI. I think we have a couple of people raising hands. So just give me a minute. Sorry for that. Okay. So where was I? Yeah, you. So about your degree, you could definitely use what you've learned probably for an upcoming, uh, project that you have or assignment that you have. This will be the brownie points for you. Working on an AI project will definitely be brownie points with your faculty, with your college, and it's a good add to your resume, which leads me to the next point, uh, which is your career, obviously. I'm sure it's one of the two things that motivated you to join the hackathon was maybe the cash prize, which is a big sum, and it could also be the opportunity to work on AI. I'm sure for some of you, both of these must have been motivating factors for you to, sign up and join the hackathon. Good on you. It's going to help you a lot in your career. Uh, so I'll just lay a few stats that I researched and I found this morning. A Gartner study recently showed that enterprises alone, that is, businesses, uh, are demanding, the enterprises alone have seen a demand for AI applications grow by 270%. And this is from the year 2015 to 2019. So you see the importance of AI growing even in the corporate world. People want AI applications, even though they barely understand it. Some of them do, some of them don't, but there's a lot of demand in the market. You want more stats? I've got more stats. Gartner also claims that business values created by AI will reach 3.9 trillion by the year 2022. Another another reason why this is the right path for you. Uh, some more stats then. UiPath, I'm sure all of you have heard of them, claims that in the United States alone, there will arise a need for 7,000 AI jobs from the opening of 2020. So this year, you will find 7,000 odd AI jobs opening in the US alone. Uh, there's another stats by popular researchers called Markets and Markets, and the research figures estimate that the AI market will reach $191 billion. That's the estimate by 2025. So if you put your minds to it, if you think that heading into AI is the way forward for your career, then you've probably chosen right. And speaking of which, a job offer. So for those of you who are the smart ones, the cream of the crop, uh, the ones who have the crazy ideas and the capability to actually outshine from the competition, the 1,500 registrants. Any of you could get a job offer from iEngage Icon Labs itself. So keep that in mind while you participate in the hackathon. There's a lot of interesting stuff that we guys work in, and there's a lot of scope for learning as well. So keep that in mind. Then comes the cash prize. I mean, that makes total sense. Who wouldn't want to win a cash prize and share it amongst your team? Probably go to Goa or probably pay off for 80% of your next gaming laptop. Who knows? And for those of you, the entrepreneurs, the silent entrepreneurs, people with the ideas sitting in the back, always thinking of how to monetize those ideas. If you've got a crazy idea relating to the hackathon on how you can use iEngage to build your next business, who knows? We are in the startup field, and we could bootstrap your startup idea. That's totally possible. Okay, so what are you guys here to do? If this is the picture that you had in mind, that you would sit for hours, for 2 months, study a lot about AI, study a lot about training AI, and build something using that applied knowledge to build AI, then I'm sorry, guys, that's not what you're here to do. This has probably been a misconception, and we've had people ask us, Are we going to be building AI? That's not what you're here to do. But for the smart ones who probably thought about it, this is sort of an equation that we're trying to achieve and we want you to head towards. We want you to train AI models with a specific problem in your mind. It could be a problem area, say your school, say your workplace. It could be within your city, your town, doesn't matter. A problem area and find a solution for it by training your AI model. So we're basically enabling you to use iEngage as a platform, to train AI models and to find a solution for pressing problems that you think require an answer. Why though? That's a good question. Let's look at that. Why? There's a lot of AI out there. Don't trust me? So AI is quite an old term if you don't know. AI has been present way back, dating back to the 1950s. So if I pull out the right stats, so the term AI dates back to 1956, uh, but the term was first coined at the Dartmouth College. A little history there as well. But back then, achieving AI wasn't a cakewalk. I mean, there were no computers. There would have been, but uh, how advanced would they have been? Huge rooms occupying just one computer, and people was thinking of AI back then. Little uh, unknown fact, and probably a history lesson for you guys, is that there were terms called as AI winters. It's an interesting term. Even I came across it very recently. So AI winters are periods in time or periods in history where AI was under deep scrutiny and people didn't believe in it. And people were like, what? No, I don't think AI is going to work out. I don't think AI is the future. What does AI mean? And you'll see, you can even go and Google it. The years 1974 to the 1980s saw the first AI winter, and probably the second one was during 1987 and 1993. So these were the periods of time where people, probably lost hope in the possibility of AI and the possibility of there being an artificial intelligence out there. So that's enough for the history. But you're looking at over more than half a century of people working on these AIs. So there's a lot of AI out there, and you've got giants like Google, you've got IBM, you name it, Microsoft, Amazon. You have them all working on AI models, and for years. Probably you can say two decades worth of AI already out there. And you also have a lot of repositories for AI where people, individuals, teams all build open source AI platforms for you to, use AI models for you to use. And why not? So point I'm coming to here is why would you compete and go back in time, rework the whole thing, reinvent the wheel if you may, and compete with these giants who've already done all the work for you? Why not, you know, use the models that they have instead of rebuilding it? People have made mistakes in the past. They've worked hard, long hours trying to figure out how to get it to work, and they finally got it to work, and it's all available at your disposal. So we don't want you to reinvent the wheel. We don't want you to, do what's already been done. We want you to take the knowledge and the resources that these people have worked so hard to provide you and find applications for it in real life. So doesn't it make sense? Let me just take you through the route or how you need to approach HackEngage. You pick a problem area, and by a problem area, I mean it could be your college. I growing up didn't really like college much, but if you think college is it's boring, man, it's such a headache. That could be a problem area for you. Uh, you pick a problem area, you examine the problem. So college is your problem area. Probably something like, you know, people sharing information with you. How do I get the latest curriculum? How do I get the latest subjects? That could be the problem that you're examining. I'm just giving you points, to think about. You train AI models using the existing models that iEngage gives to you. You can also use others, but you use the existing AI models, you train them, and you find, first of all, a solution for that problem. So it's basically you have a Rubik's Cube, you find a solved Rubik's Cube, damn. You help a community. Probably your problem helps the whole college. Who knows? It could probably help the whole college. What's better? You could crack a deal with it. If your idea is good enough or great enough, what you could do is probably have investors come and invest in you. Why wouldn't you like that? Also, with investors comes money. Who doesn't like that? So there's money to be earned. And the best part about all this is you can be a total badass in your own community, in your own college, wherever. So does it make sense now? Pick a problem, examine that problem, use what we're giving you to solve that problem. Yeah, makes sense, right? But before, it all sounds easy on, I'm saying it out loud, it sounds easy to you. But there are some things that we must understand before we go forward. Okay, so what I have here is a basic corporate setup. You can see that on the left side, there are channels of communication. And you think of it, it could be WhatsApp, it could be Instagram, whatever. I've just kept a few examples on the left. And on the right side, you can see, you know, in the corporate environment, different departments, uh, different uh, finance operation apps, business apps, it could be CRMs, whatever it is. Uh, and in the middle of all this, you have your employees, customers, and partners. Okay, and everyone is interacting with each other. That's what happens in an office. People interact with each other. The employees interact with, if it's a sales team, they interact with the customers. Customers interact with the customer service team. They make complaints. Uh, the uh, the sales team and the marketing team work on, how to target those complaints. You have the R&D department doing studies, taking information from the marketing team, figuring out, what's the next best thing we can invest in, understanding your customer sentiment, so on and so forth. And then you see at the bottom of the screen, there's a little dustbin. So let me just hit next. Now you start to see interactions taking place. From the left corner, people, your employees, customers, partners, whoever it is, are all interacting. And you see only a fragment of the information keeps going and is consumable by the rest of the company, whether it's the customers, whether it's partners who are doing selling for you, sales and marketing team, whoever it is. And you see over time, there's a dump of data. There's huge amounts of data that just have no context, uh, just being lost. And all that data goes to waste. So let me give you an example. Um, you have feedbacks coming in, and the feedback form is filled by the customer. That feedback form is understood by the the customer service team, or you have calls coming in. So calls usually are answered by probably an outsourced party, uh, maybe a call center, or you have your uh, customer service team answering those calls. Many of the times, what happens is only that one individual who answered the call will have context to what the customer is complaining about. I hope you guys are with me. Only some of that information is passed on to the rest of them. So, for example, if the customer service team gets only half cooked knowledge, they won't be able to serve the customers well. If the sales team provides some information, or they get on a call with the customer and they try to understand, okay, this is what you want. Uh, okay, uh, what is which part during the sales cycle does the customer convert? That's important information for a marketing person. Think about it. If the marketing person had that information, he could be more effective in his marketing, uh, and he would be able to convey the message more clearly to the customers, probably reducing the dependence on it going to the salesperson and him having to explain the whole thing over again. If a marketing person can do that, it makes total sense, and a lot of information, uh, you know, is lost in this process. So let's look at what iEngage, the platform you guys will be using, is going to, how it's going to help. So if you can see here, iEngage, you have iEngage as the base platform in the center. You still have all the channels to your left. You have all the departments to your right. And in all of this, the customer, your partners, uh, the employees all interacting. Now, what iEngage does is it captures all that data. The same way data is flowing, iEngage works its magic because of you guys. You guys train the AI models to work its magic. Maybe it's speech to text recognition. You can probably convert calls that salespeople have into written documents, and that in turn could help uh, other departments that need that information. So, say for example, one person gets on a call with a customer and he's complaining. Now, only the person who was on the call, the employee who was on the call, will understand the gravity of the situation. Only he will know how badly he got yelled at, uh, what the exact complaints were, understand the emotion that that customer was going through, and he will convey the message. But when the message is conveyed, all this guy is going to say is, look, the customer is unhappy because of XYZ. He was very angry. This is what you should do. And then all that context to why the customer got angry, where he had a problem, how that problem cropped up, why it cropped up. It could be because the salesperson overpitched something. It could be because marketing over marketed something that was not true. Anything is possible. So you see how iEngage bridges this gap and helps capture all this information, make it meaningful, and distribute it among the whole ecosystem. Moving on, but how do we apply this? I have a few ideas for you, so I'm going to list them out here. Before I start, elaborating on these ideas, I would like you guys to know that these are in no way themes that you need to pick up. These are areas in which iEngage has already helped before. Icon Labs has worked on them, and we would appreciate it if you would not use these themes. We would like you to think out of the box, think of problems in your own life or problems that other people have. It could be uh, in these problem areas. You want to improve your city, you want to improve the education system or at the workplace. Those are fine, but don't uh, try and copy the same ideas that I have listed out for you here. Okay, moving on. A city betterment solution. So what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of city betterment solution? It's basically, you know, uh, how do I make my city a smarter place to live? How how can uh, how can I make use AI to basically make the citizens' life better, to make the municipal corporations' life better? So you can see on the left corner, you have municipal corporation and citizens engagement. So this was a project that was conducted. for the Pune Municipal Corporation by Icon Labs. So, so what we basically did was we built an application for Pune citizens that would help them post an idea to the city. For the betterment, you could raise a complaint in respective areas. So say, for example, there were potholes, the citizens could click a photo of it, send it to the government. The government would analyze through the AR models, basically, whether it was a pothole and would pin the location of that very pothole. The municipal corporation from then on could assign the best possible person or the best possible contractor to that particular site to fix the problem. Garbage was one of the issues. So we were able to basically click photographs of the garbage, again, pin the location and send it out to the municipal corporation again. So don't limit yourself to just this. It could be also in the case of accidents. Say you see a road accident and you need immediate assistance. You can click a photograph of the accident and pin the location immediately, and let your mind work wonders and think about areas where you need a solution to your problem. It could be in basically communicating with local politicians in your area, giving suggestions, conducting polls. It's all up to you. You need to figure out a problem and find a solution for it. Another area could be public and intercity transport. So transport for anyone new, and especially if you are from a city like Pune, you will know that a lot of crowd comes in from around India to study in Pune, and it's almost always a task for people to figure out bus routes and the quickest possible route to college, the quickest possible route to some fun areas, maybe the malls, or what's the best means of traveling. So you could also have a solution, based on that. So just to put it out there, where does iEngage come in this picture? iEngage basically defines a customized process for managing citizens' interactions. So let me give you an example. Uh, you click a photo of a pothole, you send it to the municipal corporation. That's a process right there. The image goes with a blip of the location of the pothole. Now, the AI models analyze and check whether it is actually a pothole using the AR models. Thereon, once it is confirmed that it is an AR model, you can customize a process to send it to the right contractor. Now, that could be based on several parameters. You could have based on the person who gets the job done the quickest, or based on the person who functions in that particular area, or based on who is available at the time. So these are all processes that can be set, and it's all up to you to set the flow of these. iEngage also helps you build a very intuitive and custom UI here. So you guys will be receiving access to iEngage soon. You will know what I'm talking about. Uh, it also utilized machine learning algorithms to derive insights from interactions. So if you've not understood already, the crux of all this that I've been telling you are basically interactions. And to derive some insight out of it requires you to train those models into understanding, problem areas, maybe understanding. It could be if a pothole keeps popping up in the same area, probably the AI could understand that, okay, the roads were not well laid. It could be an understanding that uh, uh, the system, a prediction that it could make, basically. And also, finally, it helps manage millions of interactions. So there is no cap or limit to the number of interactions that you can manage using iEngage. Moving on, let's take a look at how educational betterment solutions. So campus life betterment. So like I was saying, campus life is a mixed bag of feelings. Everyone has their own views on it. But there are always certain areas when you're discussing with your friends, like, I wish the canteen was better. I wish there was some internal mode of transport. Or, I wish there was some effective communication channel within the campus so that we could stay up to date with what is happening. We could understand what our lecturers are saying, or in case there are some extra special classes, how do we all get notified at the same time? It could be anything. So campus life betterment, that's an area that you can look at, uh, and that's an area that will probably be very close to all of you. Uh, so, speaking of campus life betterment, maybe a school or college communication portal that could work wonders, where uh, you know interactions take place between the top management, your HODs, and all this information is stored somewhere, so that if someone misses out on that notification or that message, he could just probably type and search for it. Another thing is facial emotional analysis. It sounds complicated, but it isn't as complicated as it sounds. Uh, so basic idea is you sat through lectures, and some lectures can be dreary and put you to sleep, even though the faculty is talking sense, he's beating it into you, but you'll feel dreary and you feel sleepy, and you just can't you just can't grasp it. Your eyes are shutting. So there's a way to probably understand or to tell the faculty or to tell higher authority in a college using a probably a webcam or a external camera, where the camera can take a look at the classroom, and using AR can understand the attention span of the students. Is it wavering? Basically understand patterns there, and probably suggest to the faculty or the higher management to take a different approach towards training that particular subject. And basically over time you will see patterns evolving from that, which will help you better solve these problems, or find a fun way for people to start learning and communicating and enjoying classroom sessions. So that's one. And like I said, an internal Quora and a wiki, uh, that's something probably people haven't thought about. And we would like to see you guys probably work around this or come up with a solution close to this. And this seems to be one of the solutions that is probably most monetizable. So an internal Quora where students can, ask questions, and the available faculty or the available staff can answer them as and when required. And over time, you develop a wiki of all this information stored over years and months, and yeah, and all this information accessible to everyone who has access to that portal in that college or in that school. Sounds like a perfect idea. What's next is work-life betterment solutions. So, uh, for those of you who have done projects or have done internships, you would understand, or for those of you who have worked before, you will understand the problems that come up in a workplace. So let's look at some of the problems. Work life and stress analysis. Now, if you're up to date with the news, you'll find a lot of people complaining about long work hours, and the work life being too strict and stringent. And probably there should be a way to analyze the amount of stress a particular employee or group of employees is going through. So, could there be a way, uh, you know, in the form of an interrogation or an interview, to find out whether groups or individuals are facing stressful situations at the workplace, how the workplace uh, is affecting their work life, maybe cert, suggestions by employees about certain problems that they're facing in the workplace could get accumulated, and the top management could probably delve into real problem areas in at work. So that's one place where you can probably, that's an example that you can probably look into. An automated help desk. So most often than not, in an organization, you'll find everyone running to the HR. It's like, when is so and so holiday? Do we have a holiday for so and so? Where can I find a pencil? I need a notebook. Where can I find it? My computer is not working. Uh, where is so and so document? Where is form so and so, form 16, form 32, whatever it is. There are multiple questions that come up, and more often than not, there's only one person who most employees go to, and that's the HR. So maybe you could come up with a tool to, uh, you know, solve that problem. Maybe a desk or an automated help desk where people or employees can type in questions that they have regarding the office, or regarding work, or regarding documentation uh, within the workplace or within the organization. And all that information should be available at their fingertips. Maybe that is something you can work on. So put your minds to it, try and analyze what the problems are. Shouldn't be that hard. Another thing is HR and onboarding. So more often than not, the HR's work is to, scan through a lot of CVs, understand whether a person is the right fit, uh, you know, for the organization and whatnot. So is there a way to possibly have AI study CVs, and based on certain parameters set by you, or the organization in charge, that they could shortlist CVs, probably even do background checks if that's possible. Uh, so that could be a problem area that you want to solve, or maybe even in the onboarding process where the a new employee has to fill out his information. Mostly the HR will go with a piece of paper, sit there, type it in. It's a whole lot of a mess, and it's just a tedious process. So is there a way to go about fixing this? Giving a new employee all the information that he needs to get himself around the office. So I have an anonymous question. What exactly iEngage offers us in terms of the APIs? Like, what is the API for? I will get to that in a bit. Let me just run through this presentation first, and then we'll get to answering your questions. So, yeah, so those are the things broadly, but you know, the world is your oyster. Go ahead, think about problems that you face, or you think of areas that you think require some sort of assistance from AI. Uh, it could be within your community, within your friend group, within the guys who just play football, whatever it is, your gaming community. Think about it, and you do not need to restrict yourself to these three. For those of you who are interested in medicine, come out with an application for hospitals or for clinics. For those of you who are interested in automobiles, please go ahead and think of an application in that sphere. So let your creativity go wild there. Okay, it all sounds easy, but there are a few guidelines that you must follow. I'll list that out for you. This is basically how you will be scored. Okay, the idea and the use case, how integral iEngage is in your solution, value for the user, and the coding skills. So as you can see, the idea and the use case has taken a big chunk, almost 50% of how we're going to judge your project. Okay, the idea and the use case is very integral. So get thinking, rack your brains, try and find out a convenient place or a place that really requires a solution. How integral iEngage is? Well, we would like you, this is not a benefit, this is not necessary, but we would like you to use all that iEngage has to offer. We have a bunch of models ready for training. Our platform is ready for use. So this could be brownie points from you from our end. It could be a way of you telling us that you've understood iEngage and you've used it to the fullest. The next is user value. That's probably very important too. How beneficial it is for the user, how how much of the problem does it solve for the user, the end user that is. So that's also an integral part of how you will be scored. Your coding skills have the least weightage here, but don't get me wrong, we need a working prototype or a working product. It should work. We are not looking at beautiful coding skills that are concise, neat, and well written. We just want a working project up and running. So, what's next? Go ahead, join the Slack community. This webinar was only to get you pushed in the right direction. Okay. You will gain access to the APIs and the iEngage portal on the 5th. Okay, so that's tomorrow. You will gain access. A lot of context will come in once you run through the iEngage platform and understand what understand what's in there. So take a look around the place, try and figure out what's available, try and figure out whether you're able to use the iEngage platform. Jot down your questions, okay, all the technical questions that you have, how you're going to use the APIs and whatnot. Jot them all down. Jot them down over the Sunday, the Monday, and probably next week we will conduct another webinar where we will take you through a walkthrough of basically iEngage, and the engineering team will help you, find your way around things and help you train AI models. And also, don't forget to check your emails. Okay, so now, got questions? Ask away. So I'm going to hand it over to one of our engineers to answer most of the technical stuff for you. So we have an anonymous attendee who has asked us what exactly iEngage offers us in terms of the API and what is the API for.
Right. Hi, my name is Siddharth. I'm an ML engineer at Icon Labs. I'll be taking your questions here. So I'll be answering the first question here. What exactly iEngage offers us? So there's a long answer and the short answer. Short answer is there are about 150 APIs. I can't go about right now explaining all of them. So the thing for you to do right now is uh, about at tomorrow you'll get the tokens and the keys to the API. Go around, explore what it's about. In the next technical session, if any of you have any questions regarding how the API is, what does the API do, we'll answer that here. And another question I have is how iEngage fit into the picture. To this attendee, I'll also ask, please have a look at the platform and the APIs that there are. I'll give you a gist of what the APIs are about. So you'll see a lot of APIs regarding pushing interactions and posting and getting sentiment, and you'll have a lot of ML models there for getting keywords, for getting NLP tags. We already have a lot of pre-trained models there that you can access through the APIs. So as I said, again, there are about 150 APIs. I can't go into detail about telling what all of those do. So the best thing for you to do right now is actually just check out the platform tomorrow, have a look at the APIs, there's well-written documentation, and any kind of technical questions that you might have after going through the platform, I'll be very glad to walk you through it. Are there any other questions? Just write them down.
So I've got a question from Nitin. Nitin, which token have I used, should I use for my project? Do I get it in my mail or that token comes to my team leaders? I think all of you have who have registered basically get the token for the login. If you haven't, probably check with your team leader. He might have some information about it, but all this will be given to you soon enough. I understand that a few of you have already gained access to iEngage, and those were the early birds, the inquisitive ones who, thought of going in and diving in into the deep end. But we believe in equality here, so we'll probably wait for the rest of them to get access, and we'll provide all of you with that information soon. Okay.
Right, Siddharth here. So we have a couple more questions. One of the question is, can we integrate other technologies with iEngage? Sure, why not? So iEngage, think of iEngage as a piece. Everything that you communicate to iEngage is API. If you want to make an application and then use whatever technologies you want, and then in whichever coding language that you're using, just make an API call for iEngage and pushing and getting interactions. I have a couple of more questions. Just give me a moment. So I have a question from Azam. What makes iEngage better than others? Azam, to answer that question, seriously, you'll have to first go have a look at the platform. As I said, there are too many APIs for me to tell you about. So have a look at the platform and I'll answer you this question in the next webinar when you have had a look at the platform. I also have another question. What's the vision of iEngage? Right. So the vision of iEngage is, so the particular slide that you saw, right? In any organization or any corporation, you have a lot of interactions flowing in and about. You have a lot of information that gets lost amongst these interactions. Imagine a company X. It has for the last 5 years, it has so many mails going about between its employees, right? You have so much information there and it's just sitting there. No one is going and looking at your company's 5-year email, right? There's a lot of information sitting there. So what the vision of iEngage is to use this dark data and make sense. How can we use this? And email is just an example. It's not just email. I'm using email as an example. The vision of iEngage is how can we use this dark data of for a corporation and actually create value out of it. Value, how we create value out of it is subjective and you can go about it in different ways. But the whole idea is how do we use dark data, which no one is really using, and actually derive value from it for the company.
So there is another aspect. If you're asking what is the vision of iEngage for the hackathon, then there's a simple answer to that as well. We know since we've been in the AI field for well over a couple of years, we know how difficult it is and how much training is required to understand AI as a concept and to build AI models. We don't want you to go through the same thing. We want you to understand how these models are trained and how these models work. And we believe that the youth are the ones that are capable of, really building revolutionary, coming up with revolutionary ideas, coming up with great solutions to them. So if you're looking at the vision, is to basically enable you to target all the points that I mentioned: your career, your job, and also AI as a field. So that also is a vision. I see a lot of people raising hands. There should be an option for you guys to ask questions. So please go and hit that tab for the Q&A and ask your questions there. Can you, okay. So Anshul says, so from what I have understood from all of this is to find a problem, find a solution using iEngage APIs. I think Anshul has got it right. I think that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to find a problem and use the APIs to better solve that problem. Sumit Kole has a question. Can you show us some sample projects or prototypes for better understanding? We can do that for you. We did not want to mix up that with this session, but that is definitely something that we can answer in the next one. Stay tuned. Like I said before, keep yourself engaged on the Slack channel so that you get updated about everything. We will share most of our updates there as well. Okay, are there any other questions? Any other questions, guys? We are up for questions. Let us know if you have any doubts, whether you're stuck in the ideation phase. If you have any problems there, let us know. Okay. So I see a lot of you guys have questions about the APIs. Do not worry. Do not fear. We are not going to leave you in the dark about it. We will give you all that information soon. We would just like you to get hands-on experience of the platform and then go about, explaining to you how to exactly use them and why they're helpful for you. Any other questions?
Uh, so we have a couple more questions. We have a question from Sumit. No, Sumit, you don't need to have a front end at all. As we said, we're not really looking for the bells and whistles of the project. We're not looking at it from uh, how well does it look. So no, we don't care for the UI and front end. We care that the project works. That we like obviously there's a part that how well you have coded, but that's not an integral part of what we are trying here. And also you have one more question of, can you show, again, Sumit, can you show you some sample projects? Sumit, actually, one of the things I would recommend is actually go to Google and search Fresh Engage, right? Fresh Engage is a solution using iEngage for CRM, for corporations. Have a look, and obviously we'll continue this talk, the technical talk, in the next webinar.
Compulsory to have a team. Um, So somebody's asked whether it's compulsory to have a team. If you think you are capable of doing it yourself, by all means, go ahead. That's a benefit for you. Uh, we would like people in teams so that work gets done faster and you guys have people to bounce ideas off. But if you totally believe that you can ace this by yourself, by all means, go ahead and do that. What should be the scope for the problem? See, like I said, uh, it's all up to you. You find out an area that disturbs you the most or you think is interesting that you need to work upon, and go ahead and find a solution for a problem in that area. The scope is completely up to you. Just know that it should be smart, it should really make sense, and it should be useful for the end users who are going to use your solution. Someone else has asked, how do I get started using iEngage's APIs? If you are one of those people who have already gained access to it, we will We will cover this in the next session. If you haven't received access, just wait for tomorrow. Everyone should get access to iEngage. Give us an email ID where we can reach out with inquiries. You can reach out to us at hello@iengage.com. You can ping us there. But what I would suggest is uh, to make the most of this and to stay up to date with all the information that will be flowing your way. Please join the Slack community. It's going to be a benefit for you. There is also a mobile application, so you don't have to worry about having it on your desktop, nothing like that. You can have it on your phone and get updated. We share a lot of interesting stuff. Another thing is, if you would like links to whatever all the stats that I covered today, or you need information on, uh, validating what was covered in the webinar today, just ping us on the Slack community and we'll share all the links with you. And my bad, it is hello@iengage.ai, not .com. My bad. So just remember that, hello@iengage.ai. Any further questions?
Hello.
So we have a couple more questions from Sumit. Uh, Sumit, what you have described here is one of the use cases of iEngage. When I said have a look at Fresh Engage, I meant that is one of the things that you can achieve with the APIs, not the only thing. As we said, have a look at the APIs. So my reason for giving you that example was just so that you can have an idea of how problems have already been solved. Uh, just have a look at the APIs and think if you can come up with something else. Uh, Also, there's one question from Tapan. This issue. Right, Tapan, right, sure. So Tapan has an issue with something technical. Tapan, we'll address in the technical webinar, right? Are there any other questions?
Hello.
Hello? Okay, I am under the assumption that everyone has their questions answered. Uh, I think Tapan has another question. There are issues with the iEngage Python SDK installing. Yeah, we will cover that in the next webinar for sure. Anything else? Yes, Abhishek, did you display the themes of the project? I think we did. And if you would like more information, we can share those themes with you. But we would suggest you to think on your own and think for yourself and come up with your specific themes that you find interesting. Okay. I think that seems to be good then. All right then, guys. I would like to thank you all for joining the webinar. It's great having you guys with us. Uh, we hope you've got some understanding and you have some basic idea of where we're headed with this. And I hope you can use the weekend to basically think about all this and you know uh, put your mind to thinking of problem areas and solving particular problems. So if you guys have any doubts, you can engage with us on the Slack community or email us. Again, the email address is hello@hackengage.ai, iengage.ai. Just remember that. And goodbye for now. Enjoy your weekend. A reminder, all of you will gain access tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Jot down your questions, ask on the community, interact with each other, make it a lively pace. We look forward to having you guys with us on the next webinar. Stay tuned for updates. Goodbye, guys.